Okay, so Nathan at NT Game Designers asked for a little bit of an update. Let's say what I've been doing lately. For the last week, I've actually been working on a game called Empyrean Galactic Survival. Now, I don't mean actually working on developing the game. Recently, in the last like 6 months, they did an update where people can actually add their own models and assets into the game. It's a Unity built game. And so I was working on that last week. So what you can do is in Blender, you can make up some, simple models. You don't need to do it in Blender, but I like to try a few different things here and there. So this one was actually in Blender. Very, very simple. The bar itself is just one cube, obviously with the materials thrown around it, make it look nice. The stool's just 4 cylinders, one cylinder for your footrest down there, and then one cylinder for each of the schooners. So, and it looks like that. Okay, so I exported that as an FBX file, and then I put the FBX file into Unity. Now the developers provided this Unity project, I guess you'd call it, block models and suit props modding. They added some tools into it to make it actually possible to be able to add the models in, because they don't want just assets being added into folders, so they actually have a bundle that they use, and so that's how it's done. This is a barbecue down here. Now you notice that the barbecue is looking a bit purple. That's not because it's coloured that way. That actually has a shader put onto it, which is called EMP shader, which is Empyrean shader, example block coloured. And when we're in game, that will actually make it so that a tool can change the colour of that part. So you can change it to red, green, blue, grey, whatever. So that's why that is that special purple, which a lot of people would see when they're playing with shaders and rendering. This forklift is just a freebie one off a website. Same with the barbecue. That was a freebie one. I added a couple of things into it, nothing too exciting. This was the bar that I made in Blender, but I also added a couple of taps. I added the tap kind of area on there as well. So I did that part in Unity. Mostly I was just testing to see how things worked. We can look at the bar here. There it is. Maximize that. Alright, so so this is what it looks like in Unity now. Added these parts. Now I will point out that in Blender I changed the number of vertices on the cylinders, so this one's a bit smoother because there's more, and this one's not as smooth because there's less. Obviously there's like 8 in that one. Yeah, so there's 8 in that one. That one was probably 16, I think. So yeah, I didn't put too much effort into it, to be honest. But I was basically testing to see what can be done, what can't be done. Wrap some wood around there, and also at the back, and then on the top is just like a bit of a slate. It's I think it actually did come as a slate picture, and I just slapped it on there for a bit of a slate top. Alright, so we'll go back out of here. So in this bundle that they provide, or in the project they provide, there's a tool, EMP tools, build bundles. So you use that, which will create a couple of files, and then you add the files into the game, and then the game will actually be able to use the stuff that you did. It only uses what's in the folder called block models, so only this stuff here. All the other stuff that's just sitting around doesn't get added into the bundle, so that makes it easier to keep an eye on the stuff you're adding. And then you need to go to the config file, and you need to actually add in information for it, otherwise it doesn't think it exists, basically. So the model itself is add block models and then slash and then the name of the prefab in Unity. So if we go here, forklift, there it is there. So this is the prefab, so that's the name that it's using there. If you had forklift dot, if you had a shader or a or something else named forklift, then it might actually cause issues because for some reason they don't make it actually look for the dot prefab. So if for some reason it doesn't load in game and you're doing this, then just make sure that nothing else is called the exact same as you've added for the model name, which is the prefab name. I did notice that, which yeah, was a bit of, took a little bit of figuring out to do why it wasn't working, but I got there. Lots of learning to go on here. So yeah, you basically tell it how to use the block pretty much. So that's what the config file is for. And this one's, yep, Blender, we get those down. Alright, so this is the game. So you add them in. I'm just going to do a single player creative. I've already had it up a couple of times, so it shouldn't take too long to load. Hopefully. There we go. Structure's already ticking on. That's what we want. Alright, so now we are actually in game. This is the barbecue model. You can notice that this one's red, that one's blue, that one's like a greyish colour. It's because I've already added colour to them. So you can see how the tool changes that colour. That's because of the shader that was added in Unity. So it just allows the players to you know, customize it a little bit. Some people might want it to be blue to match whatever they're putting it with, but a lot of people will probably go the darker colour, maybe not that dark. Something like that looks nice, you know. They're just little particles that put into to basically look like glowing coals. So nothing too fancy, but you know, it looks nice. This was the forklift. And they have colliders, so there's a box collider that basically envelops this part of it, and I didn't worry about putting a collider over that, so I can easily walk over that without any trouble, but I won't walk through the actual object. Same with the barbecues, I can jump on top of it because the box collider is literally wrapped around it. This is the bar, there's the stools and the little schooners, got a tap. And yeah, and so I did a couple of the blocks. This was one without a stool, without beers. It's just that you don't have the same repetition all the way. If I do this, I can even get rid of that one. I don't have any ready to go. I'll go, whoopsie. Well, that's the bar and stool. That's the one that looks like that. What's that one called? Never mind. So yeah. So, and then there was a corner one, so that you could wrap it around corners like that. And yeah, I did add some other stuff just for a bit of fun. There was a sawmill that I put in an old fantasy game about a year ago. I created that model and I put it in here just to see what it looked like, and it actually still looked pretty good. I was pretty happy with that model that I made, but it doesn't really fit the whole space game sci-fi thing, so I don't think it'll actually get used in anything. One of the servers I play on pretty regularly and have been for years is called Venatus, V-E-N-A-T-U-S, I believe. It's an Australian New Zealand server. It's actually hosted in New Zealand, so I get a pretty decent ping. And I've been talking to the admins there, and I think there's a pretty good chance they're going to add the barbecue and the bars into the actual live server so other people can use it too. We'll see how we go. It's not a done deal yet, but you know, they might want to do it. I think it's pretty cool. I think it looks nice. So that's this game. Yeah, so there was a lot to learn. It wasn't very straightforward. There was a lot of little tricks and things that I needed to learn to be able to make it happen. One is, if I go to the barbecue, where's the barbecue? Up here. So, they're the particles. Alright, this barbecue metal blue, because originally I had it as a little bit of a blue color. It has the shader there, which is this one here. Now it took a little bit of working to actually make this work. So down here, the color mask, you need to put a mask on there, obviously. The white part would be colorable, because this shader is only on that part. Then I just put a straight white image, there's nothing else on there. If you were doing a shader that had multiple ones, let's see if I have any. That's black. Usually ones that will come up with an image there. Well, that one's got an image. Alright, it's a pretty basic image, but see how it's got a different there? So that might be for like the base of the bar. It might have come up as that color, and then use that color for something else. Now if you were trying to mask this one to be colorable, then if you wanted just this part to be colorable out of this shader, then you would make that part white. So where is it? It's actually here. So it looks like that when it's a square. So if you colored that part white, then that would make it so that only that part would be colorable wherever the shader was used. Yeah, so that's just how it works anyway. Just thought I'd explain that a little bit. There is an error, which I think is kind of sad, but you know, maybe it's not really an error in game, it's just an error here. So I don't know, but either way, I don't like that there's an error there. That annoys me. Okay, so that was what I've been working on. Yeah, took a fair bit of messing around and learning. I'm at the stage now where I can, yeah, literally just grab a model, throw it in here, resize it to what I want, make it a prefab and drop it straight in the game, set up the config and start using it as a new block, you know. So I'm at the stage where it's actually quite easy to do, but it did take quite a bit of learning and working out what works and what doesn't work to actually get to that point though. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing for the last week. May as well give you a little bit of a peek at the game my buddy and I have been working on. So this isn't the most recent version of the game that we did, but it's just the one that I had handy on here, and it happens to be the one that I had the doors working on too, so that's always a good thing, because I talked about the doors in Discord the other day with Nathan and the other guys, Dylan. Alright, so this is obviously the character select screen. I can start this up. Okay, the character is just a normal default character that comes with a few assets. So this is definitely not what we would run in the end game. And but we're in like a starter town. There's no NPCs in this starter town at the moment. There's mainly just me trying to make this door work across the network. So if I click it from back here, nothing happens, but we go to about there and we're inside the trigger the hitbox here, which then lets us open it. So we click and it opens up. We can go in. I'll let that close. It's on the timer. I think it's maybe like 20 seconds or something. And then we can't go through. It's a solid with a collider obviously, but we can click it to open it up and we're in the right distance from it. Yeah, so those doors are on pretty much everything here. I will point out something I'm really happy with. As this door's closing and I click it, it doesn't go back to the animation as if it was closed and start again. It actually goes back to opening from wherever I clicked it. And I think that looks really nice, and it took a little bit of figuring out to get that to work, but you know, everything's a learning process, you know. If you don't know how to do something, then you got to learn how to do it. Simple as that. So yeah, there's doors on pretty much everywhere. My buddy put quite a bit of effort into actually doing the houses and making them look nice, and the stuff around the outside and the paths and the bits around the paths, little light thing there. So it's not meant to be a hustling, bustling, really busy city. It's meant to be beaten up a little bit, and so it's not perfect. There's a path over that way which goes into the mountains where you can beat up mobs, and there's a path down that way, but I'm just gonna run over this way, so I don't have to run all the way down. I can just look from up here. And it goes down there, so there's a little dock with a boat. There is actually an NPC there that gives you a quest to start off, and there's a couple of mobs over there. There's a few crocodiles and stuff over that way, but like I said, it's definitely nowhere near finished product. It's lots and lots of work still to go on it, for this version at least, but this one was me just getting the doors to work over the network, and it does. Obviously I can't prove that on here because I need a couple of computers networked up together. I can't just, yeah. So that's what this game looks like. The UI and everything that you're seeing is all the default, so it's nothing that we actually did and we're not really into. There's a little mini map up here you can zoom in on and zoom out on. I don't think this one's resizable, no. But we changed all that anyway when we redid the UI. So yeah, I mean I mostly do coding. That's mostly what I'm into, which is why I was the one who had to make the doors actually work across, because it's mostly coding and figuring out the actual animation and networking. But yeah, so that's a little bit of a glimpse at what this project looks like at the moment. Like I said, this is we had done a lot more work than this version has showing. So but either way, that's a bit of an update of where I am and what I'm doing. Hope you enjoyed, and yeah, that's it.